Hi guys, welcome to class number 2, Sue Dray Fashion Drawing class. So I'm going to sort of follow on from the first one, and obviously they're all separate classes, but I just want you to get used to the idea of drawing in proportion, drawing silhouette, drawing something that's got movement and life to it. And I think to be able to capture that properly, you've got to be standing up too, really. I mean, whenever I'm drawing at London Fashion Week, I'm always standing at my easel and I'm always drawing live and because it sort of has a little bit of more of urgency to it, and I think there has more energy when you're standing up. There's something very passive about sitting down, as we know, because we all kind of get stiff. But when you're standing up, there's more energy, there's more passion, there's more emotion, you're more engaged, you're more involved in what you're doing. So what I will always recommend in the art class, that you stand up. Even if you've got at a desk, you can prop your board up a little bit, something underneath it, and that you can stand and draw over the top of it, or put your paper on the wall. Try that. Just try anything where you're not just sitting, because sitting is just too sedate and it just makes for tired drawings, really. So what we want is something that's kind of a little bit more action-packed and with those lines that are very urgent, because they give that sense of joie de vivre, I suppose, or that sense of just kind of movement and being alive, So I think that's what I'm trying to get at, really. And I think in fashion illustration, fashion drawing, that's what we want to achieve. We want to achieve something that's got vibrancy to it, movement to it, and life to it. All right, so white piece of paper. I am going to talk to you a little bit about using recycled paper, newspaper that we're going to paint on with white paint that you can find around the house, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. First of all, I just wanted to get going. I've got this drawing here, this photograph, of, actually happens to be Kendall Jenner, but it's a rather beautiful pose. It's got lots of movement, lots of angles to it, and it's got a lot of sort of energy. So this is the one I want us to start with, and what we're going to do is just to familiarise ourselves with the drawing again, like we did last time. I want us to analyse the pose, analyse where all the kind of energy is bouncing around the body. So like I said to you, we're going to start with our head, and again our head is going to denote whether we can fit that onto this page. So say I make that head that big, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and a bit, which is really what we want for fashion illustration. Make it so if you can fit the feet on. So if I know that's the size of the head, I know that's going to be kind of where I'm going to fit everything else on. So we then kind of look at this pose, and there's very much she's got literally her arms coming right underneath her chin, as you can see in that photograph when you look at it online, and her arms coming right out here, and her fingers extending over there. So we've got this lovely kind of mark coming over here with the finger extending out, and then the rest of the arm is the fingers are coming sort of languidly down like this, but we can do the fingers in a minute. I don't want to get too involved in all that right now. So we've got this energy here, but what's so lovely is that this whole, this is the face, we've got our eyes are coming down in this direction here, and we know our ear is going to be coming off our eye line with the jawline. So straight away we've got our plumb line from the ear, and we can run our plumb line right the way down our page. All right, that's why I told you there's this side and that side of that plumb line. So we need this whole beautiful energy of this is coming straight the way back, dramatically in. Now the waistline here is 2 heads down from this top line here. So measure the head again. We've got 1, we've got 2. So we're going to know the waistline is going to be there because we've already measured the head. We know what size it is. We go 1 and we go 2, and there is the waist just there. So we know that the waist is coming into that point, and we know that the plumb line is literally just about ½ an inch proud of that original line, where that back really comes in. All right, so then we kind of know that the buttock comes out, and then there's a tilting back in. The whole thing is beautifully sweeping this way. Her whole energy is out and sweeping back in. So we've got that to help us make this kind of a dramatic drawing. And then she's meant kind of halter neck here, and I was deliberately taken at this time somebody who is wearing some clothes and not just the nude figure. So we know this shoulder's higher than that shoulder, it's bound to be, so there's a line coming down this way. The breast line always follows the shoulder line, so this breast is going to be higher than this breast, so we know that that is going to be the sort of silhouette of that body. And then the body comes a little bit of a tummy coming out, tummy there, just a tiny little bit, and then her leg is coming, her skirt is all coming in this direction, which is a lovely sweep. All right, and of course we know then that the hips, of course they're going opposite, the hips are going to come down in this direction, and so is the waist, and you can see that's kind of what I did. And if you imagine the waist to have almost like a box shape there, so we know that that waist is going in that direction. So we've got that lovely sweep, and we know that, again, dropping our little plumb line, that the bottom of that skirt actually hits the plumb line there, so we know that's kind of roughly where all that ends. Now we put in the legs, so the legs are coming, this one's coming, because this one's holding all her weight, so it has to be, it's going out, but it has to come back in again. And she's got these rather beautiful, great big boots on, and so these are the ones that are almost like on tippy toes. The knee, we know the knee is higher than that one, just because if you lay your pencil between the two knee lines, that it's coming in that direction, which is not dissimilar to that as well. So that knee is going to be somewhere there, and then this back leg is coming down, and it's kind of like, again, she's on these rather lovely kind of tippy toe, big fat boots, which I'm just about squeezing on that bottom of that page there. She's got kind of socks going on here, and the boots have got studs on them, which of course that's something we can all do when we're going for our drawings, so our finished piece. So all these, everything we can do now is just to familiarise, and the more times you draw this, and I've drawn it quite a few times to familiarise myself with it. Here's another one I did of the same pose, just getting myself familiarised with, or familiar with the drawing, and then this one here as well. So there's a lot of trying to working all out so that I'm really kind of happy with what I'm doing. I'm not sure if this is better than those ones, but not that it really matters. So we're kind of putting in just so again we got some idea of the eyes and where they're going, and then the hair too, because she's got this very severe parting, and the hair is kind of going, and it's got a little tiny mouth. Let's get that in. So again, the hair's coming down here. Also, she's got this other arm, which is rather beautiful, and it's coming, and it's kind of right from the middle of that breast, actually. So you know where that bit's going to be, and then it's coming up here, and this hand is languidly over the back of that. She looks a little bit angry in this. I'm not quite sure why. That is just a way of familiarising yourself with the pose. All right, and I'm going to show you one quick little one as well, which is using colour and line. So just hang on a minute. I'll get another piece of paper up on the board. Now we're going to do it with a bit of colour. And I think just as a shadow figure again, because the shadow figures are quite nice. They give you that lovely sense of freedom that you don't have to worry about the white piece of paper, because you've got something already down there. And this is kind of a fun exercise to do in itself, really, because it's a bit like playing. You can use chalks. Oil pastels are quite difficult to do a line over, so chalks or wash is quite nice, but either or. And like I got lots of lovely colours. So we're going to use this, and we're going to use the flat side. All right, so we're not going to use that bit, we're going to use the flat side, because it's not about drawing, it's about making a shape. All right, so we look back at our original source material so that we're familiar with it. And we've already drawn it, so we're familiar with it as well. And we know that you know, start up here, and it's got this sort of arm that comes through and down. This lovely languid arm, and then we know that we're coming back. The body's coming, that lovely shape is coming back into her central force line, and that we've got this then lovely little skirt that's again sweeping forward. So again, we got that there, and the legs are coming right the way back, because that leg has to sort of really be able to hold her up. And this one is just the sort of playful one, really. And again, remember that knee is higher, and it's coming down with another. It's right on her tippy toes, so something like that. So we've got our first colour. Now you can, if you want to, go in with another colour, which is sometimes quite nice as well. We could actually add a little bit of, if we thought there was a bit of highlight, some here, we can say, oh yeah, let's add a little bit more colour. It's quite nice to add a bit of colour on that face there is always really nice. And in fact, you know, we can, I don't know how much more we want to do in this, but I think we could even maybe just kind of go in with a bit of black on her boots, because they're very strong. And she's got this lovely, by the way, she's got this lovely long black glove on, which I think is rather gorgeous. And remember, I keep forgetting that other arm. She's got that other arm that comes down. Remember, it comes down just sort of under here and across there, and then the arm comes out there. So we've got a shape. We've got a shape that's kind of maybe right, maybe not right, but it's kind of a big shape down there, and we don't have to worry too much about that. I'm going to use this black pencil again, because it works quite well with this. It's very difficult to use my dip pen and ink when I'm working on an easel, because the dip pen doesn't really work. It has to be going down. Central force, frugal force, something like that. But anyway, the ink has to flow down, and it can't while you're like this. So it's difficult to use it on an easel. So we'll go back to my trusty pen. I'm going to kind of go on my ear here, because I do like to start, now you know me, I like to start with an ear. And then re-look at where this arm is coming in relationship to this gorgeous hand. And I love the way that finger pops over there. But anyway, like I said, I'm not going to get too involved in drawing hands right now, but we like to just kind of get back that line in to try and just kind of kind of draw it, really, because sometimes you don't always get it right, and you know, you don't stay rigidly within your initial shape. You kind of change it a bit. That comes and goes right over that leg, which is rather lovely. So, you know, it's just sort of going back in again, and just really not even looking at what you've done, because you're doing another drawing. Another drawing over the one you did. And you're being kind of bold with your lines as well. You know, there's no room for anything that's, you know, you've got to be bold. Just be kind of like brutal with it, really, so that you are not be frightened of your line. You can do this a billion times, you know, especially if you do it on my newsprint, which I'll again show you. You're not wasting much paper, because it's, you know, newsprint is, but just enjoy the lines, you know, just enjoy the lines and the shapes of her figure, and that it makes, and you know, and then you can always redo it again. It's only a drawing. It's not the end of the world if you don't always get it right the first time. These boots are massive. And I've got big old heel to them, and little studs, bit of kind of woo, woo, woo. And again, more studs, boo, boo, boo. Just have fun. You know, the laces are all over the place, so maybe be a bit undone. and it's got that kind of look to it. So these lovely black gloves, which give such a nice shape to any hand. And because she's wearing a sort of a dress that does that, it's a bit sort of shoulderless, backless dress. There we have that kind of figure. Now we can go back into that. We think we should probably do the face. I made this face probably a bit wide, but you know, we can, whatever you want to kind of have a little play around with. It's not a portrait. You don't have to draw Kendall Jenner. You can draw whoever you bloody like because it's your drawing. You've got artist license, and you make it however you want to make it. And I'm making a right old smudgy mess, but it doesn't matter because as far as I'm concerned, the smudgier, the better. And then we've got this black, gorgeous black hair that she's got that's sort of cascading down her back, which we kind of like, and cascading down her. Just gets cascading down here. And so you've kind of got, again, a smudgy old mess, but you know, you can go back in there, add whatever you like. You know, you can add some more black if you want to add some more black to the skirt and the top bit, because that's what it's got. It's also got some lovely gold kind of stripes coming through it, which we can add some gold into that if we wanted to. It's got some green. So now we can kind of, like, I'm doing this very quickly, but we can kind of play around with adding our adding back into our colour. So we've got the basis of just making an initial shape based on a photograph, enjoying the silhouette, enjoying the sort of you've really got to love it. You've got to look at it and really love it, finding what excites you about that particular pose and then going for it and finding the extremes in it, really. And I think that's the big thing. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'll come back with the next one, which will be the pen and ink. I'm going to show you the pen and ink drawing I did on newspaper and newsprint technique. Right, so we have the drawing I did a bit earlier, which I had to do flat, is this pen and ink one. And you can see that, and I did it with those big felt tip, big fat chunky felt tip pens. You can do it with ink, ink or paint. And so you're getting big blocks of colour. And I kind of like the way that the marks are kind of... They make themselves, really. You can't paint those. The pen makes those lovely marks, and that's what makes it sing quite nicely. And it is this lovely newspaper which I painted on with household paint, which is you know, emulsion. So you don't want to use gloss, and you don't want to use satin or silks. You want to use the emulsion, because the emulsion is the gritty one, and it's water soluble, which makes it nice and friendly for us all to use. So basically it's just a piece of newspaper which I have painted over the front with white emulsion paint. One coat of my white emulsion paint is fine. You can put it on either with a roller, you can put it on with a paintbrush, big paintbrush, or you can put it on with a sponge even. You know, it doesn't have to be anything sophisticated. The one thing, once you've painted it, you let it dry, which is quite quick, and I paint several at a time. I put them in a pile. I put a big heavy board over the top and loads of books, anything heavy, and leave it overnight. So in the morning it's lovely and flat and ready to work on. Otherwise it's a bit crinkly and it won't really work too well. This is really totally recyclable. You find your newspapers everywhere. They're all over the house, all over the free ones everywhere. You've got an endless resource of newspaper, and everybody's been a bit of DIYing and got a bit of old paint lying about the house. So, you know, go and rummage around. If not, there's always skips, and if you can find some paint in a skip, people are chucking out you know, because there's always a bit end bit. And you don't need much, so it can be free paper, this, and totally recyclable and
nice to the planet, really. So good luck. I want to see all your results, and stay well, stay indoors, and stay healthy, I suppose. Bye-bye.